Over 60% of fuel injector cleaners aren't just scams, they are silent engine killers. I've tested these bottles myself. Inside fuel rails, injectors, and tanks. One brought a clogged injector back to life in under an hour and even cut fuel bills by 12%. But the wrong one fried sensors and destroyed a $2,500 catalytic converter. Today, I'll expose the 9 that ruin cars and reveal the 5 that work. Let's get started. Number 9. Marvel Mystery Oil. As a cleaner, pouring Marvel Mystery Oil into your gas tank to clean injectors is like hiring a janitor who refuses to touch dirt. Sounds harsh, but it's the truth. MMO has been around for nearly a century, and while the name carries weight, the formula doesn't carry cleaning power. It's a lubricant, plain and simple, and using it as a cleaner is a mistake that leaves carbon laughing at you while your fuel economy keeps dropping. Here's what MMO actually does well. It lubricates. Pumps, upper cylinders, even injectors stay slick, which can slow down future deposits. That's prevention, not cleaning. Once carbon has baked itself into your injectors, MMO won't touch it. Your idle stays rough, your MPG keeps sliding, and your money goes straight down the drain. I'll give credit where it's due. If you've got a fairly new engine and want a little extra protection, a splash of MMO during oil changes isn't the worst idea. But if you're hoping to restore performance, you're playing the wrong game. What you need is a cleaner with polyethyramine, or PEA, the only detergent proven to dissolve tough deposits. Save MMO for light lubrication jobs, not fuel system cleaning. If your goal is to actually restore lost power, stop wasting time with mystery oils and get something designed for the fight. There are some trusted names that don't live up to the hype. The next treatment might surprise you. Number 8. Seafoam Motor Treatment. Pop the cap on a can of Seafoam and you'll smell confidence in a bottle. Mechanics have trusted it for decades. Drivers swear by it. And the brand has been around since the 1940s. Sounds bulletproof, right? Here's the catch. It doesn't actually clean modern fuel injectors the way you think it does. The problem is simple. Seafoam doesn't contain PEA, the only detergent proven to break down carbon deposits. Instead, it relies on naphtha and isopropyl alcohol. Those are decent at shifting light buildup, but they don't dissolve the baked-on carbon choking your injectors. At best, they loosen debris, which then floats around, waiting to cause a new problem. That's not cleaning. It's relocating the mess. Sure, in a 2-stroke engine, Seafoam can help. But in today's 4-stroke cars and trucks, the results are underwhelming. And while it probably won't destroy your engine, it can create headaches, clogged filters, fouled plugs, even a sudden check engine light. Save Seafoam for lawn equipment or light fuel stabilization. If your car's running rough, look for a cleaner with PEA on the label. That's what actually works. While speaking of products that promise more than they deliver, let's talk about a cleaner that's basically diesel fuel in a disguise. Number 7. Abro Injector Cleaner. Abro has a flashy label and a name that sounds tough, but underneath, it's not the hero your engine needs. The main ingredient in Abro Injector Cleaner isn't a proven detergent like PEA, it's number 2 gas oil. That's just a fancy way of saying diesel fuel. And diesel fuel was never designed to clean a gasoline injector. Here's what happens. Abro can knock some deposits loose, but it doesn't dissolve them. That means bits of carbon and varnish float through your fuel system like tiny landmines. They clog filters, jam injectors, and throw off your air-fuel mix. Instead of smoother performance, you end up with rough idle, hesitation, and no real gain in fuel economy. Some drivers swear by it, and yes, you might feel a short-term improvement, but that's only because the loosened debris clears for a moment before causing new problems somewhere else. It's like sweeping dirt under the rug. You don't see it, but you'll trip on it later. Skip Abro if you want true cleaning. If you need injector care, stick to products with PEA. That's the chemical that dissolves carbon instead of just kicking it around. If you think Abro's bad, wait until we hit the bargain bin bottles. Those $3 miracle cleaners don't just fail. They set your engine up for an even uglier surprise. Number 6. Generic bargain cleaners. $3 bottles. See a fuel injector cleaner on the shelf for $3? Walk right past it. These bargain bin bottles are filled with cheap solvents, usually kerosene, alcohol, or both. They're marketed like miracle cures. Restore lost power, boost fuel economy by 25%, and clean injectors in one tank. Sounds tempting, but here's the hard truth. None of that is real. At best, these cheap cleaners might remove light surface grime. But without PEA, they can't dissolve hard carbon deposits. And when they do work, the danger is worse. They often break off chunks of buildup instead of dissolving them. Those chunks don't vanish. They clog filters, jam injectors, and sometimes even get pushed into the catalytic converter. That's how a $3 gamble can become a $2,500 repair bill. Drivers throw these bottles in their tank hoping for a quick fix, only to come back weeks later with a car running worse than before. Save your money and buy one quality cleaner with PEA instead of 5 bottles of cheap snake oil. We have spoken about strong solvents that pretend to be your friend. The next cleaner promises to scrub varnish and sludge, but the side effects can roast an engine from the inside out. Number 5. Ethanol heavy cleaners. Ethanol already sneaks into most of the fuel you pump, so pouring in a cleaner that's built on more ethanol is asking for trouble. On paper, it looks smart. Ethanol is a strong solvent that can strip varnish, gum, and sludge. But under the hood, the side effects pile up fast. The first issue is water. Ethanol is hygroscopic, which means it pulls moisture straight out of the air. That extra water causes corrosion in tanks, lines, and injectors. Repairs can run from a few $100s for fuel lines to several thousand for a destroyed fuel rail. Next comes the mix problem. Ethanol contains oxygen, which tricks the engine into running lean. A lean burn leads to high heat, knocking, and in bad cases, melted pistons. That's not an exaggeration. I've seen engines torn apart with holes burned clean through. Older vehicles take the biggest hit. Anything built before 2000 wasn't designed to handle high ethanol exposure. Rubber seals dry out, hoses crack, and injectors corrode faster than you can replace them. Stick with cleaners that actually use PEA. If your car already runs on blended fuel, the last thing it needs is more ethanol shoved into the tank. Want to know the truth about the one fuel additive mechanics keep quiet about? Check out our video. 7 fuel additive mechanics don't want you to know. It might save your engine before it's too late. Number 4. Alcohol-heavy formulas. Some injector cleaners brag about high alcohol content, usually isopropyl alcohol, or IPA. They're sold as quick fixes. Dry out your tank, clean your injectors, save your engine. Sounds cheap and easy. But alcohol-heavy cleaners are a shortcut that often costs drivers big. Here's why. Alcohol can absorb water, which is fine in small doses, but in larger amounts, it strips more than just moisture. It dries out rubber seals, cracks O-rings, and weakens plastic parts inside your fuel system. Once those seals fail, you're looking at leaks, poor pressure, and even fuel pump failure. Then there's the carbon issue. Alcohol isn't strong enough to dissolve heavy deposits like PEA does. Instead, it knocks chunks loose. Those chunks clog injectors, foul spark plugs, and set off check engine lights. Add a lean fuel mix to the list because alcohol adds oxygen. And now you've got hot combustion, knocking, and piston damage waiting to happen. Yes, IPA can help if you're trying to remove water from a tank in an emergency. But as an injector cleaner, it's a gamble. The short-term win isn't worth the long-term repairs. Thinking alcohol-based cleaners are risky? Wait until we dig into the products that use kerosene as their magic ingredient. That's where things go from bad to downright dangerous. Number 3. Kerosene-based cleaners. Open a cheap injector cleaner and notice it smells like kerosene. That's because it usually is. Many low-budget bottles rely on kerosene as the main ingredient. On the surface, it makes sense. Kerosene blends with gas. It's cheap, and it's a mild solvent. But once you pour it into a tank, the risks far outweigh the benefits. Kerosene does almost nothing to hard carbon deposits. It's too weak. Even when companies mix it with detergents, the effect is watered down. Once diluted in a full tank, kerosene becomes about as effective as pouring hot water on concrete stains. It just doesn't cut it. The bigger problem is what it does to fuel quality. Kerosene lowers the octane in gasoline. Low octane means engine knock, metal on metal pounding inside your cylinders. Leave that unchecked and you're staring down thousands of dollars in repairs. I've seen bills climb over $10,000 from engines wrecked this way. On top of that, kerosene dilutes the fuel, which causes incomplete combustion. The result? More carbon, fouled plugs, and harder cold starts. It's a recipe for frustration. Avoid anything that lists kerosene or petroleum distillates as the main cleaner. Look for PEA on the label. That's what your engine actually needs. But kerosene isn't the only aggressive blend you need to worry about. Some products throw in even harsher solvents like acetone and xylene, and those can cause chaos in ways kerosene only dreams of. Number 2. Harsh solvent cocktails. Some injector cleaners brag about being extra strong. What that really means is they're loaded with harsh solvents like xylene, acetone, and heavy alcohol blends. On paper, that sounds powerful. In reality, it's dangerous. These chemicals strip grease and varnish so aggressively that they don't just clean, they knock carbon loose in big chunks. Here's the problem. Carbon chunks don't dissolve. They travel downstream, clogging injectors, fouling spark plugs, and even jamming oxygen sensors. Worst of all, much of that debris ends up in the catalytic converter. Once a cat gets blocked, you're not fixing it, you're replacing it. That's a bill north of $2,000 for something a $10 bottle caused. Strong solvent mixes also create other issues. Acetone and xylene can eat away at rubber and plastic parts in the fuel system. Hoses, O-rings, and seals dry out, crack, and leak. Add in unstable combustion from the disrupted mix, and your check engine light becomes a permanent passenger. Don't trust a bottle that sells itself as a miracle deep cleaner. If it doesn't list PEA as the active ingredient, leave it on the shelf. Real injector cleaning takes a detergent that dissolves carbon, not a solvent that blasts it loose and leaves the mess for you to pay for. Harsh solvent mixes sound bad. Wait until you see the so-called miracle blends that promise to clean everything: fuel, oil, exhaust, with one formula. Those bottles don't just fail, they're the worst offenders of all. Number 1. Miracle Multi-Purpose Blends. Some bottles claim to do it all. Clean injectors, flush oil, stabilize fuel, even fix your exhaust. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the truth. When one product promises to handle everything, it usually handles nothing well. These miracle blends are often made of cheap solvents with no real detergent power. They might thin sludge, loosen varnish, or freshen up fuel for a short time. But they don't contain PEA, polyethyramine, the only proven ingredient that dissolves carbon deposits. Without it, these bottles are little more than overhyped cocktails. The bigger danger is confusion. Multi-purpose additives can interact badly with fuel systems, oil seals, or sensors. They don't target one problem, they spread problems around. I've seen drivers pour this stuff into their tank and end up with rough idle, clogged injectors, or a flashing check engine light just weeks later. That cheap fix quickly turns into an expensive repair bill. Don't fall for one bottle cures all. Cars are built with precise systems. A product that claims to fix everything usually risks breaking something instead. Since you've stuck around this long, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. Because now we're moving into the part that matters most. The 5 fuel injector cleaners that actually work. Number 1. Lucas Deep Clean. Not every injector cleaner is junk, and Lucas proves that. This brand has been around for decades, and their Deep Clean formula is one of the few you can actually trust to do its job. It isn't magic in a bottle. but it's a solid choice for regular use. Here's what makes it work. Lucas Deep Clean has PEA, the detergent that actually dissolves carbon. On top of that, it adds lubricants that protect your injectors, fuel pump, and upper cylinders. That means it doesn't just clean, it helps reduce wear, which can stretch engine life. Now, is it the strongest cleaner out there? No. If your injectors look like a barbecue grill, this won't save the day. But for everyday drivers who want to keep things running smooth, Lucas is safe, reliable, and budget-friendly. You can even use it a little more often than the directions say without worrying about damage. Try that with a bargain cleaner, and you'll be on a tow truck. Use Lucas Deep Clean every few thousand miles as prevention. Think of it like brushing your teeth. It keeps problems from piling up. If you're dealing with heavy carbon, you'll need something stronger later in this list. Speaking of stronger, let's move to a cleaner that's built for high-mileage engines that are already struggling. Number 2. Gum Out Regain High Mileage. Your car has racked up more than 75,000 miles and has never seen a proper fuel system cleaning. Gum Out Regain High Mileage is where you start. Think of it as a reset button for older engines that are coughing, sputtering, or losing power. What makes it stand out is the higher concentration of PEA, polyethyramine. This isn't the watered-down mix you find in cheap cleaners. It's strong enough to dissolve baked-on carbon that robs your engine of horsepower and fuel economy. Drivers often notice smoother idling, quicker throttle response, and even better mileage after just one tank. Another plus, Gum Out also helps fight the damage that ethanol causes in modern fuels. It conditions fuel to reduce corrosion, which is a big deal for cars that sit around between drives. It's not just cleaning, it's protecting. Now, is it a miracle cure? No. If your engine has decades of neglect, don't expect a single bottle to bring it back from the grave. But for high-mileage vehicles that need a solid deep clean, this is one of the best starting points. Run Gum Out every 3,000 to 5,000 miles in older cars, or whenever you notice sluggish performance. It's cheap insurance for engines that you plan to keep running. But if you want a cleaner that doesn't just scrub carbon, but also boosts performance while protecting fuel, the next one takes things up a notch. Number 3. Royal Purple Max Clean. Royal Purple has a reputation for going premium, and their Max Clean fuel system cleaner lives up to that name. This isn't just about wiping injectors, it's about performance. Drivers often report smoother acceleration, restored horsepower, and even a small bump in fuel economy after using it. Here's why. Max Clean packs PEA to dissolve carbon deposits, but it doesn't stop there. It also works as a fuel stabilizer. That means if your car sits for weeks, the fuel won't go stale as quickly. It's like giving your gas tank a shield and your injectors a deep scrub at the same time. Another strength? Longevity. While many cleaners need to be used every 3,000 miles, Royal Purple can keep protecting and cleaning for up to 10,000 miles. That's fewer bottles, less hassle, and a lot more value in the long run. Of course, premium comes with a price. Royal Purple costs more than budget cleaners, but the durability and extra protection make it worth every penny. Use Max Clean when you want both cleaning and performance gains. It's a great choice if you daily drive and don't want to mess with frequent treatments. But if you're looking for raw cleaning power, the kind that melts away carbon with the highest concentration of PEA, the next cleaner is the heavy hitter. Number 4. Redline S i1. Want the strongest over-the-counter injector cleaner? This is it. Redline S. i1 has the highest concentration of PEA, sometimes 30 to 50%, while most cleaners sit much lower. That makes it a beast when it comes to dissolving stubborn carbon deposits in injectors, valves, and combustion chambers. The results are real. Drivers see smoother idle, restored power, and better fuel economy after a single treatment. It also helps reduce knocking and even lowers emissions by burning fuel more cleanly. In short, it works, and it works fast. But here's the catch. You can't cut corners. With this much strength, you need to follow the directions exactly. Pour it into a nearly empty tank, fill up with fuel, and let it run through the system. Skip a step or overuse it, and you might notice hesitation or rough running until the tank cycles. Used properly though, it's one of the best ways to reset a fuel system without pulling injectors out for a professional clean. Save red line for serious carbon problems or as an occasional deep clean. For regular maintenance, something lighter is easier on the wallet. And that brings us to the cleaner trusted by automakers and fleets alike. Number 5. Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus. When it comes to fuel injector cleaners, this one sits at the top for a reason. Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus is the product most automakers and mechanics will actually recommend. Why? Because it's backed by science, not hype. The secret is Chevron's patented PEA formula. While some brands sprinkle a little in, Techron uses just the right mix to break down carbon deposits in injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. That means smoother acceleration, restored power, and better mileage after just one treatment. It's also safe. Unlike some aggressive cleaners, Techron won't eat away at rubber seals or clog filters. Whether you drive a brand new car or an older high-mileage commuter, it works without nasty side effects. That's why it's trusted in fleets where downtime costs serious money. Here's the kicker. Techron isn't picky. It works in gas cars, hybrids, motorcycles, and even small engines like lawnmowers. One bottle treats about 20 gallons of fuel, and Chevron recommends using it every 3,000 miles. Think of it as a tune-up in a bottle. Some folks complain it costs more than bargain cleaners, but let's be honest. You'll spend more on one bad coffee habit in a week. This stuff can save you from repairs in the thousands. That's a trade worth making. If you want one fuel system cleaner that actually lives up to the hype, Techron is it. Reliable, proven, and trusted. Now you know which fuel injector cleaners ruin engines and which ones actually work. But here's the thing. Bad advice doesn't stop at cleaners. Some drivers still believe ridiculous fuel myths that cost them money. Don't fall for it. Watch our next video. 5 fuel myths idiots believe.